Hey everybody, Matt here with Field Contact. Thank you for tuning back into the channel. Trying to get some more content out that I think is going to be crucial as well as beneficial to many of us. If you kind of saw my post yesterday on the Field Contact Instagram page, you might have saw that I was talking about warthog holsters and like typically carrying concealed, right? Because let's be honest, in a typical day, right, carrying your designated rifle or AR pistol or whatever the case you may have just might not be practical, right? Like you can't, some states you can carry this around everywhere you want, right? But there's just, even those states that you can carry it around everywhere you want, such as like Arizona, like you don't want to carry this around everywhere, right? Because then you become a target and people see you, right? So maybe that's not the best choice. But then again though, like maybe you don't want to carry around your whole entire range belt or battle belt or whatever you call it, right? Because this isn't very covert, right? This is very much focused for an intended goal, right? So maybe you can't, that's not an option. So what are you left with, right? You got out of the waistband holsters, you got in the waistband holsters, right? And that varies based off of what you're trying to accomplish. I talked about warthog holsters, which that's what I'm currently carrying right now, and you probably don't even realize it, okay? But there it is, right? So like I said in my post yesterday, this is my Glock 19, no magazine, nothing in the chamber, very much safe. This is what I carry typically, and I do it with a Warthog's holster. They're based right here out of Arizona, small business, they're local, and I'm all about that. But it also just works. Like here I am wearing just a regular collared shirt and some shorts, and you can't even tell. And that's the beauty of it, right? Because now with the CCW or maybe a state that has a constitutionally concealed carry, like you might not need a CCW, but you also don't want to advertise that you could be a threat to somebody. If there's a bad guy, right? Like that bad guy is looking for victims of opportunity. But if they go into a place, you know, trying to get a quick score, a quick whatever, right? Like if you are advertising with a gun belt or I've seen silliness like thigh holsters, right? If you're advertising that you have a firearm, you become the #1 threat for that person. So now that person's going to target you. And if you have your family, like, do you want that unnecessary attention? No. So that is why concealed carry is a great tool, right? But there's some cons to it, right? When you start doing concealed carry, you want to make sure you're not imprinting, okay? Imprinting is when you have shirts that are too tight fitting and you can start seeing the gun, right? You don't want to do that, but you also don't want to be a person who weighs 100 pounds wearing a triple XL, right? So pick clothes that are loose fitting, not going to imprint, but are comfortable and like what you would normally wear, right? So imprinting is a big one. Now, once you have your clothes picked, right, and let's say you have a threat that you have made in your mind that like, hey, I'm going to engage this threat. Now, those are going to dictate based off of your experience and training as well as your local laws. But let's say this person has a gun, right, to somebody else and they're threatening to kill them, right? Most states have a law or a self-defense clause that you can defend you can defend your life and the lives of others. Now, like I said, double check your local state laws, but here in Arizona, we have a right to defend ourselves and defend others. So let's say there's somebody there, right? The real basics compared to just like a regular holster, right? You gotta clear everything. So the first thing that you'd want to do if you're drawing from a concealed concealment type holster, right? Whether it's in the waistband, whether it's out of the waistband, but your shirt is covering it, you got to clear your garments, right? So the first thing you should always do, right? When you make the decision and you have all the other things locked in, you need to clear your garment. So the first thing that I always do when I'm drawing from the concealment, I'll grab my shirt, grab a handful, okay? And you can typically grab it and you yank it up, okay? And that exposes now the gun. After that, right, you want to get a good purchase point just like you normally would. Remove the gun from holster and then push out and do everything else like you normally would, okay? And that's all there is to it. And obviously this is reps because under stress, let's say you're sweaty, let's say it's cold, you're someplace back east and it's freaking cold and now you have more layers, you have a sweater, a jacket, right? So make sure that you are clearing all those garments so that you don't start doing partially and then get your gun and then now you're like fighting your shirt type thing, right? So if you are not a skinny guy like myself, this is not the time to be bashful, right? When you're like slowly like trying to hide your gut, right? If you enjoy a cold beer like I do from time to time and you're defending your life of yourself, your family, or a friend, colleague, whatever the case may be, now's the time not to be bashful. Freaking grab your shirt, right? Whether you grab from the bottom, you grab from the center, grab your shirt, get it up out of the way, get your gun and present it out, and then do what you need to do, okay? If that's addressing, if that's holding at gunpoint, if that's making the conscious decision to squeeze that trigger and take the shot, those are things that you're gonna have to be comfortable and right with. But for this, right, drawing from the concealment, big thing is, right, you don't want nothing in your hands, right? So you have a phone, right? Drop the phone. You have, you're holding your kid's hand. Maybe it's now about time to be drawn, right? But if you do have your family and you are out and like an active shooter situation just starts popping off, try to leave your gun hand always free, right? That's one thing they always stressed on when I was going through training, is always leave your gun hand free. You can carry everything in your non-gun hand, right? So if your gun hand's free, even though like you have, maybe you're holding your kid, right? Your kid's hand, or maybe you're pushing a cart, right? Like you can let go of the things in this hand to get your garment, clear it, get your gun, and get up into the fight to either egress or address, okay? Now, there's different holsters, right? Yesterday I was talking about Warthog holsters, and this was the one that I shared, this was the one I posted. It's my Glock 19. This is typically what I carry. Most places I go because it is smaller and I'm comfortable with it, and I think should I need to use it, I would be effective with it, right? But there's like a profiling with it. Again, magazines are empty, nothing in the chamber. So there's a profile aspect to it, right? The 17 is going to be bigger than my 19, okay? However, my 17, sorry about the flashlight, has a weapon mounted light, right? It has the Swamp Fox optic. So it's very similar to my 19, except it's just a little bit larger frame and it has a weapon light. Now, what does that mean? Okay, that means I have a bigger concealed carry holster for my 17. No bullets, everything is safe here, right? So the big thing is, right, getting it set up how you want. I like to carry appendix because I can conceal the easiest, right? So somebody asked me like, hey, would you prefer doing like a holster with a spare magazine? And yes, there are times where that might dictate, okay? And so this is one of those options, right? So here it is, a little bit bigger, right? Takes up much more real estate. This one's a little bit more cumbersome, right? When you start moving and doing things, because you have a spare magazine, you have more kydex, right? You have a bigger gun, but same concept. The whole point is to be covert, right? Not so overt where it's obvious. You want to be covert. You don't want to You don't want to be that guy that's going to be targeted, right? If you're out with your family or you're just out by yourself, you don't want to be that guy that's targeted as like, hey, that's going to be the threat. We need to address them. So again, same thing, right? If you're getting into a situation where you made the decision to draw deadly force, whether you display it, threaten it, or use it, those are going to be the decisions you make. Same thing, right? Clear your garment, clear your shirt, clear your jacket, your hoodie, all those things, whatever you may be wearing. So get a good purchase point. When I do this type of holster, because of the spare magazine, I'll typically grab the bottom of my shirt, right? Because it's usually near my pocket, which is typically where my hands are anyways. And I'll grab it and I'll pull it all the way up. That allows me to get a good purchase point, get my gun out, and then get in the fight should I need to. Now, if you're gonna do that reload, let's say you're in the, LA bank robbery shootout scenario, right? And you're just going through mags, so you've done your magazine exchange, same thing, right? You wanna get that shirt up high, reach down, grab your magazine, do your magazine reload or exchange, whatever the case may be, and get back in that fight, okay? So the fundamentals don't change, okay? You still want to have a good purchase grip, right? You still want to have good sights. You still want to know what's beyond your target, right? You want to know all those things, just in a more, you're just doing it in a more covert fashion, right? So there you go. This is concealed carry, right? This is what it looked like from the side, right? You clear your garment, bring it all the way up and out, okay? There's maybe, you figure you have one other step than if you were just drawing from like a holster on the range, right? Is you just gotta get your garment up and out of the way. Whether that be a shirt, whether that be a jacket, whatever the case may be, okay? It's just that easy. Most companies that are doing these holsters, right, they're kydex, so they're the hard plastic. They have sweat guards that can go high, mid, whatever. They have spots for optic cuts. Some have spots for threaded barrels or compensators, right? So find one that you like, get out there, and yeah, pick one that works for you. Like I said, my day-to-day typically is going to be my 19 with my Warhawk holster, just because it's the smallest profile and it's just the most comfortable because there's not that extra mag, okay? But remember, clear your garment, get your gun up in that fight. Okay, now, some of you saw though, like, hey Matt, like, we saw this holster, right? And that's right, that is another option. Don't worry, YouTube, I'm not taking my pants off. So this is an out of the waistband holster, right? This belt's a little bit small, so bear with me. Normally I use a larger belt, but feed it through, cinch down your belt, get it to where you want, right? And it's just like a range holster at this point now, right? This is typically for my 17. But same concept, right? Like, can't really see it printing too much, right? But if I was wearing a different shirt, I know this holster with this setup would print. Same thing though, right? You need to clear your garment. Some guys will preach about like just moving your hand up and then grabbing it, but as you can see, I'm still caught right here, right? So do the same thing, get your shirt up nice and high, get that gun out, do what you need to do. I do this for some security volunteer stuff I do for functions. So I use this holster just because it's easier compared to like bending and stuff with an appendix. But I have been known to carry my appendix in some of those functions as well. So that is that. I mentioned clothing, right? And I'll show you why clothing is important. Obviously you want to pick like for the weather, right? Like I live in Arizona, today's 99 degrees. I'm not going to be wearing jeans and a button up long sleeve shirt and doing what I've been showing you, okay? So typically this is my day-to-day clothes. T-shirt, some shorts, right? This is my day-to-day right here. So this is kind of what I do, and this is why I do it, because the 19 with the Warthog holsters, it conceals nicely for my type of clothing I wear. That's a little bit bigger shirt, and it works though, right? But same concept. I'm sorry, I'm not a skinny guy. I like my beers, but don't be bashful, right? You want to get your shirt up high, get your gun, and then get out in that gunfight. So it doesn't matter if you have an undershirt, it doesn't matter if you have another shirt, it doesn't matter if you just have your shirt. Just get your shirt high, get your gun, get it out, okay? Now, why am I showing you this? Since we've already talked about holsters. Well, that's because size does matter. It's a little bit bigger gun, right? It's got the weapon mounted light, spare magazine, all that good cool jazz. Now I can still conceal it. It's going to be a little bit bulky here, and you can kind of see it protruding a little bit here. But I can still technically conceal it and walk around and be just normal day to day. This isn't comfortable for an all-day event. And this does show more than my 19 option. So that's why I'm showing you. Same thing though. Shirt nice and high. Get a good purchase point. Get your gun out, etc. So there you have it, folks. I talked about it yesterday on my Instagram page about concealed holsters. And I talked about specifically Warthog holsters. And I figured since I was talking about it, I should probably share with you why I was talking about it. And this is why, right? It's all about covert concealment, not letting people know you have it, not advertising, right? Because I'm not going to the grocery store to get my milk and eggs with this, right? At least not today. I'm not going to the gas station to fill up with, you know, my full battle belt and all that good stuff. Maybe not today, but what I do know is I carry regularly and I carry concealed, and I typically do the appendix holster. So plenty of reputable companies out there. No sponsors, no endorsements. I don't get nothing for this. This is me just sharing. I've used companies from T-Rex, Tier 1. I don't even know this company. It's an Amazon special, but they're out there. Obviously, I've used Safariland, right? Like there's reputable companies out there. So do your research, find out which one works for you. For me and my daily, it's my Glock 19 with my Warthog holsters. Okay, folks. So do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit those notifications, right? Go back, watch some of the other videos. There's a lot of good content on some of the previous videos, whether we're talking about gear, we're talking about rifles, we're talking about med kit, we're talking about just life things, right? So check it out. Thank you again. As always, be kind to one another. If you can't be kind, be violent. Stay safe, folks.